welcome to a new episode of Let's Have a Chat, where we talk with inspiring leaders about their future goals and what drives their success. Today, I'm excited to introduce to you my guest, Dr. Vishnu Doerga. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome, and thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, you're welcome. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, I am a Suriname-Guyanese, if I can say it that way, born in Suriname. I moved to Guyana about 30 years ago. So my mom is from Suriname, my dad is from Guyana. So I've always been living between both countries, studied in both countries, done business in both countries. And I always compare both countries to paradise because, someone like myself could easily migrate and go elsewhere, but I really love living in Guyana and Suriname. It's truly amazing to be able to sit outside, not worry about the cold, not worry about too much of heat, enjoy fresh food, have good experiences. Everything is fairly close by. You don't have to be traveling for long periods of time. So for me, it's a really beautiful place to live and work.
Guyana is a beautiful place. I enjoyed my time staying here. Beautiful people, and they're under construction. Yeah. So why?
Definitely under construction since 2015 when the first oil find was made. We were able to get to FID in Guyana by 2017. And can you believe it? By the end of 2019, we were actually starting to produce oil. And that has now been going on for about 4 years. And the income from oil has really started to hit the budget just about 2 years ago. And we can see that there's a massive investment now in overcoming the deficits that Guyana had in infrastructure, education, security. So much is being invested, and as the expansion continues with ExxonMobil, with adding more and more FPSOs, increasing production, the income directly to the companies that are involved continues to increase. Indirectly, all the hotels, all the services, all the taxis, all the education that people need to put their kids in continues to expand, but also the money that comes through the government, through the budget. This year we had a $6 billion, it's a $6 billion US dollars budget, and that is the largest, almost doubling the previous budget. So all that investment that is being put in infrastructure is what you see everywhere in the public sector, in the private sector, just growing massively.
So good. So, Dr. Doerga, what are some of your biggest career highlights?
Well, I started off studying. I'm a mechanical engineer. I love coming from that background because that taught me that every problem can be solved. Like, you cannot go to an engineer and tell an engineer, I want this house, and the engineer will tell you, well, it can't be done. Or I want a bridge, or I want a road. An engineer will never tell you it cannot be done. An engineer will tell you, give me a clear scope, and we'll build it.
We'll build it.
And we'll do our best to ensure that it's done as efficiently as possible and still meets your requirement. So I love that I took that path of study. A lot of the people in my family are engineers. So that process thinking, that efficiency thinking, I think really worked well for me. And then other than growing my own company, I've also served in so many boards on the public and private sector, on the Bureau of Standards, the Investment Agency, the Manufacturing Association, the various chambers. Today I serve as the Suriname-Guyana Chamber Chair. And we've been able to really do some innovative things. I think even in our own company, we've published the Who's Who in Guyana Business Directory, the Who's Who in Suriname Business Directory, to really make it so much easier for businesses to connect with the right people to find them. And of course, the IBC is something that I think we're very proud of. We do still live in developing countries, and if there's one vision that I have, is that we transform these two developing countries into developed ones. And if you think about it, right, it's not the countries will be in the same spot. It's not like we're going to move them somewhere else. The resources will be here. The sunshine will be here. So when you really think about it, it's we as people who have to improve. It's just we as people have to improve, because
do we need to change our behavior also?
I think we really need to think about what we want in our own lives. Too many of us go to the US, we go to Holland, because there is a vision there that we can connect with.
Yeah.
We know we have security, we know that in those countries the public sector is fairly well structured, we know that there's good support structures if you're out of a job, when you retire. That is what a lot of people leave these countries for. And a lot of those things, we need to understand that that is possible in Guyana and Suriname. It is possible to have that life, those. We see them as luxuries in these countries, but they should be the norm in these countries. And guess who has to fix it? We have to fix it. Like, we have to say, okay, if that's what we want, what do I need to get trained on? What do I need to ensure that my kids understand?
So educate yourself. Yeah. That's the first thing you need to do.
And we have to stop thinking that just pushing our kids to become doctors and lawyers is going to solve our problems. You know, in the 80s, when there was one doctor in the whole village, that was a nice job. When it was one lawyer in a city, that was a nice job. Now there's too many of them, and they are struggling themselves because of how many there are. We need to make sure they go into the right fields in logistics and engineering and administration. We have a big management deficit. We have some leaders who put out really good visions, but in their organizations, there's no ability to execute that vision. So they keep talking, but actually doing the work, nobody's equipped to do the work. So it's a people issue. Getting from a developing country to a developed country is really about upgrading the thinking that we have and building the skills and the abilities that allow us to do the work needed to achieve this thinking.
Can you explain the main mission of your work as the chairman?
Yeah, well, definitely. I have a very deep love for both countries. I have family in both countries. I have businesses in both countries. And I was thinking, well, especially in my discussions with Ambassador Lisel Blankendal, who's the ambassador of Suriname to Guyana, you know, she also really sees what we as Guyana and Suriname could mean, not just as a bilateral relationship, but we could be an example of what a real single market and economy can look between two countries. So I sometimes, you know, we joke with a lot where I say, you know, I'm the in the background ambassador, because anybody who from Suriname who comes to Guyana gets sent to me for advice for this and that. And anyone in Guyana who's thinking about Suriname comes to me as well. So I always tell her, you know, I'm too much, you know, it's so much of my time. So then we came to the idea, because when we looked at the statistics, Trinidad has the highest number of their businesses in Guyana, followed by Suriname. So then we thought, why don't we have a better organized structure? And that's how over a year ago we conceptualized the Suriname-Guyana Chamber. We had companies that were really focused on serving in both countries, like Guyana Port, El Jawa, Fernandez, all these companies that were already operating. And we said, hey guys, would you be interested? Would you support? If we're going to do this, we need to have the resources to execute on the mission of the chamber. And they said right away, everybody said yes. We did a virtual launch on August 31st, 2023, so we're just over a year old. We are already at 100 members between Guyana and Suriname. And what we really want to do is just make doing business easier for the companies that want to invest. All these companies want to do is they want to produce their goods or services, they want to get it to the market, they want to serve the market. Nobody makes a product that they don't think is going to make it better in both countries. So our job is just to say, okay, how do we help them make this happen? Because we rather that they figure out how to serve people well, focus on their business, and then as they're ready to expand, we will help and demonstrate to them, these are the agencies you need to talk to, these are possible business partners, these are possible people who could buy from you. And we want to make it as simple as possible. We don't want to talk a lot of fancy language that nobody understands, nobody knows how to do. We just want to make it so easy for businesses to do business in both countries. And that's really what we're after, and that's what we've been focused on for the past year.
And how do you think the work stays effective in this constantly changing world, this industry?
I think young people who are inspired. I'm very happy that, you know, we're led by a CEO who's 24-year-old. We have his team, you know, youngsters who want to live in a better region. I think that's such a key ingredient, because, you know, I'm a bit older now. Some people call me old, but I'm a bit older now. I think, I still have another 10, 15 years that I really want to push heavily on this. But if we don't get our youngsters to understand that they have the real responsibility here, and to do the work, it's our responsibility now to provide them with the resources and the vision and the guidance. We have both sides have to really play their part for this to work. And I think that is how I believe it will be effective, because younger folks find ways to solve problems. If you take a look at the conference that we're at,
yeah, of course,
take a look at the average age. It's in the mid-20s.
Yeah.
That has pulled all of this off. So I'm very happy to be a guide by their side, and I really look forward to what they're going to bring.
Yeah. So, but what do you think leadership will look like in the next 5 to 10 years from now?
I think we really need to get serious about developing leaders.
Okay.
So other than the engineers, the logistics, and all of that, we need to get serious about developing leaders who understand what it means to serve. Sometimes we hear public servants. I usually introduce myself as a private sector servant. Yeah. We need that servant leadership. We have too many leaders who are full of themselves, just a lot of ego. They're dictators in their own organizations.
So what's your advice for new leaders?
I want them to not get burnt by that toxic environment if they are in one such environment. There's a great book that is called Leading from the Middle, where they can start effecting positive change, because leadership is influence. So you don't necessarily need to be at the top of the organization to be able to learn how to present your ideas, how to take responsibility for them. So if it doesn't work, how will you fix it? That you're not expecting somebody else to fix it. And I think we need more of those examples. We have too many role models who are not displaying that. We need to really find leaders who do display those characteristics, and set up mentoring sessions. When I learned this concept in Singapore almost 20 years ago, they take leaders who are just 5 years older than the people that they want to develop, and those leaders get paid by the government of Singapore to mentor new leaders.
Okay.
And that's a fantastic leadership incubation program that they have. In our own company, we've been testing that for over 10 years, and we can see that's why I can be sitting with you here in the middle of a conference with 2 streams happening, and the team is running it. And I think that is what we really need to do. I would really ask all our progressive leaders to take that time, set aside a couple hours per week, and invest that in people who want to take leadership to the next level.
So we are at the IBC Guyana 2024. How important do you think the IBC is for the growth of Suriname, Guyana, and the Caribbean, the region?
It ties in really well with my personal vision, which is moving Guyana from a developing country, Guyana and Suriname, from developing countries to developed countries. Because when we say developed countries as well, we mean to an international standard. And when we were sitting brainstorming the name of the event, some of the names that came up were like Guyana B2B conference, a ton of names. We had like 15 names. And then we just thought about it, and we said, we have resources, we have land space, we both have small populations, we have so much opportunities on the horizon. What do we need? Then we need people, we need expertise, we need people with intellectual property as well to bring that intellectual property. We definitely need capital, because in Guyana and Suriname, when we as business people talk about big projects, we're talking $1 million US, $2 million US. The projects that need to happen here now are 10 and 50 and 100 and 500 million US dollars. So we thought we need to make sure that we make those connections with the international community that has an interest in these 2 countries and bring them together. So therefore we came up with the name International Business Conference. So we bring all of them in, plus we also bring companies, medium and large companies in both countries that are ready to move to the next level.
Okay. So IBC 2025 will be held in Suriname. What can you expect? And did you already start with the preparations?
Yes, the date has already been announced. It's February 4 to 6. We will be doing it at the KKF Beursterrein. That gives us 30,000 square feet. We've been able to pull off this event here in just about 10,000 square feet of space. So we'll have 3 times the amount of space. We have so many people that were not able to attend here because we didn't have any more space. And also, some of them have to put it in their budgets and all of that. So we expect to have at least 1,000 delegates at the event in Suriname, and at least of those 1,000, we're expecting 500-600 to be internationals, just like what we've seen here. from over 40 countries. You know, so we've already laid out the entire plan. We're wrapping up IBC this week, and then it goes into full-scale execution to make sure that we really bring a high standard of event as well to Suriname.
Okay, so we're looking forward for IBC 2025 in Suriname.
Thank you very much. Love to have you there.
Thank you for joining us for this interview and for sharing your insights with us as a leader.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
And thank you for watching Let's Have a Chat. We'll see you next time where another leader will share their insights with us. So stay tuned at RTV.